Brought to you by PrayLatin.com, makers of prayer cards featuring complete English phonetic renderings of Latin pronunciations.
Numerous figures through church history have warned us that the Third Secret of Fatima contained a warning about an apostasy in the church, which sounds like a contradiction in terms, but that is the language that every single one of these figures used. Some of them priests, others of them cardinals of the church. Cardinal Chappie being one, who warned that the Third Secret of Fatima detailed an apostasy in the church led from the very top. Malachi Martin said the same thing. A few others as well. They came from different positions in the post-conciliar order of things, some of them being very big cheerleaders for it, like Cardinal Chappie, others big critics, like Malachi Martin. They came from different perspectives. They came from different sets of values, different theological opinions. They agreed on very little. They all claimed to have read the Third Secret of Fatima, and they all agreed on its contents, that it detailed an apostasy in the church led from the very top. I'm going to give you now some prophecies on this from various different places. We'll begin with saints, and then we'll go to the warnings from popes and other prelates, and then we'll go to some warnings of it from Our Lady. Warnings from the saints. Saint Hippolytus, 3rd century. And the churches too will wail with a mighty lamentation, because neither oblation nor incense is attended to, nor a service acceptable to God. But the sanctuaries of the churches will become like a garden watcher's hut, and the holy body and blood of Christ will not be shown in those days. The public service of God shall be extinguished. St. Nicholas von Flue, 15th century. The church will be punished because the majority of her members, high and low, will become so twisted. The church will sink deeper and deeper until she will at last seem to be extinguished, and the succession of Peter and the other apostles to have expired. But after this she will be victoriously exalted in the sight of all doubters. St. John Bosco is saying in the 19th century, there will be an ecumenical council in the next century, after which there will be chaos in the church, given in 1862. And a long prediction from Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, also given in the 19th century. I saw also the relationship between the two popes. I saw how baleful would be the consequences of this false church. I saw it increase in size. Heretics of every kind came into the city of Rome. Once more I saw the church of Peter was undermined by a plan evolved by the secret group, while storms were damaging it. I saw a secret group relentlessly undermining the great church. When the church had been for the most part destroyed by the secret group, and when only the sanctuary and the altar were still standing, I saw the wreckers of the secret group enter the church with the beast. I saw an apparition of the Mother of God, and she said that the tribulation would be very great. She added that these people must pray fervently with outstretched arms. They must pray above all for the church of darkness to leave Rome. The church is in great danger. I see that in this place, Rome, the Catholic Church is being so cleverly undermined that there will hardly remain 100 or so priests who have not been deceived. They all work for destruction, even the clergy. The great devastation is now at hand. When I saw the Church of St. Peter in ruins, the manner in which so many of the clergy were themselves busy at this work of destruction, none of them wishing to do it openly in front of the others, I was in such distress that I cried out to Jesus with all my might, imploring his mercy. Then I saw before me the heavenly spouse. He said, among other things, that this translation of the church from one place to another meant that she would seem to be in complete decline, but she would rise again. Even if there remained but one Catholic, the church would conquer again because she does not rest on human counsels and intelligence. It was also shown to me that there were almost no Christians left in the old acceptation of the word. The church is completely isolated, and as if completely deserted, it seems that everyone is running away. Among the strangest things that I saw were long processions of bishops. Their thoughts and utterances were made known to me through images issuing from their mouths. Their faults towards religion were shown by external deformities. A few only had a body, with a dark cloud of fog instead of a head. Others had only a head. Their bodies and hearts were like thick vapors. Some were lame. Others were paralytics. Others were asleep or staggering. I saw what I believed to be nearly all the bishops of the world, but only a small number were perfectly sound. Then I saw that everything that pertained to Protestantism was gradually gaining the upper hand, and the Catholic religion fell into complete decadence. In those days, faith will fall very low, and it will be preserved in some places only, in a few cottages and in a few families, which God has protected from disasters and wars. I saw that many pastors allowed themselves to be taken up with ideas that were dangerous to the church. They were building a great, strange, and extravagant church. Everyone was to be admitted in it in order to be united and have equal rights. Evangelicals, Catholics, groups of every description. Such was to be the new church. I heard that Lucifer, if I am not mistaken, will be freed again for a while 50 or 60 years before the year 2000. Predictions from popes of this apostasy. Leo XIII, September 25, 1886. These most crafty enemies, the devils, have filled and inebriated with gall and bitterness the church, the spouse of the Immaculate Lamb, and have laid impious hands on her most sacred possessions. In the holy place itself, where has been set up the see of the most holy Peter and the chair of truth for the light of the world, they have raised the throne of their abominable impiety, with the iniquitous design that when the pastor has been struck, the sheep may be scattered. Pope St. Pius X. There is good reason to fear lest this great perversity may be, as it were, a foretaste, and perhaps the beginning of those evils which are reserved for the last days. Pope Pius XII. We believe that the present hour is a dread phase of the events told by Christ. It seems that darkness is about to fall on the world. Humanity is in the grip of a supreme crisis. Mankind must prepare itself for suffering such as never before experienced, the darkest since the deluge. I am worried by the Blessed Virgin messages to Lucy of Fatima. The persistence of Mary about the dangers which menace the Church is a divine warning against the self-destruction of altering the faith, in her liturgy, her theology, and her soul. I hear all around me innovators who wish to dismantle the sacred chapel, destroy the universal flame of the true faith of the Church, reject her ornaments, and make her feel remorse for her historical past. A day will come when the civilized world will deny its God, when the Church will doubt as Peter doubted. She will be tempted to believe that man has become God. In our churches, Christians will search in vain for the red lamp where God awaits them. Like Mary Magdalene weeping before the empty tomb, they will ask, "Where have they taken him?" A warning from Cardinal Manning. The apostasy of the city of Rome from the Vicar of Christ and its destruction by Antichrist may be thoughts very new to many Catholics, that I think it well to recite the text of theologians of greatest repute. First, Malvenda, who writes expressly on the subject, states as the opinion of Ribera, Gasper, Mellis, Villegas, Suarez, Bellarmine, and Bosius, that Rome shall apostatize from the faith, drive away the Vicar of Christ, return to its ancient paganism. Then the Church shall be scattered, driven into the wilderness, and shall be for a time, as it was in the beginning, invisible, hidden in the catacombs, in dens, in mountains, lurking places. For a time it shall be swept, as it were, from the face of the earth. Such is the universal testimony of the fathers of the early Church. And finally, Yves de Pont, author and book Catholic Prophecy, an expert in Catholic prophecy from the post-conciliar period. Some prophecies seem to warrant the inference that the true Catholic Church will disappear completely for a while as an organization, but although disorganized, it will survive in the persons of the faithful members of the clergy and laity who will go underground. And now messages from Our Lady. Our Lady of the Good Event of the Purification, often mistakenly called Our Lady of Good Success. Thus I make it known to you that from the end of the 19th century and shortly after the middle of the 20th century, it will be difficult to receive the sacrament of baptism, and also that of confirmation. The Catholic spirit will rapidly decay. The previous light of the faith will gradually be extinguished. Various heresies will be propagated in this land, then a free republic. As these heresies spread and dominate, the precious light of faith will be extinguished, and souls by the almost total corruption of customs, morals. The small number of souls who hidden will preserve the treasure of the faith, and the virtues will suffer an unspeakably cruel and slow martyrdom. In the 20th century, the corruption of customs will be almost universal, and the precious light of faith all but extinguished. How then the Church will suffer on that occasion? The dark night of the lack of a prelate and father to watch over them, the lukewarmness of all the souls consecrated to God, and the priestly and religious state will delay the coming of this prelate and father. In 1846, Our Lady of La Salette warned, Lucifer with a great number of demons will be unchained from hell. By degrees they shall abolish the faith, even among persons consecrated to God. In every place there will be extraordinary prodigies, because the true faith has been extinguished. The abomination shall be seen in holy places, in convents, and then the demon shall make himself the king of hearts. Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of Antichrist. And then Our Lady of Marienfried, a lesser-known Marian apparition from Germany in 1946. The star of the infernal regions, Lucifer, will rage more violently than ever and will cause frightful destruction, because he knows that his time is short, because he sees that already many have gathered around my sign. And that last warning from Our Lady of Marienfried is a good one to end on. The devil knows his time is short, and that many have gathered around her sign. Her sign is her Immaculate Heart. It is a reminder that another prophecy warns that in the time after the material chastisement, which may very well be around the corner given the state of the world, the faithful will only be left the sign of her Son and the Rosary as their only ways of defending themselves spiritually. At least for a time, until the Church emerges from the scattered remnants it will be after that chastisement and a new Pope emerges. Curious what you think about all that, though. Does that sound like our time? Does that sound like we are living through that now? It's a radical set of prophecies, to be sure. They suggest that we are in a time of unparalleled apostasy, if that is our times they're speaking of. That the popes of the last several decades have all contributed to this, with their ecumenical dialogue, their refusal to enforce Catholic morality, their playing close to becoming allies with the secular authorities who work against the faith. Especially now, in our time, where things are far worse than they've ever been. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. So does sharing this in social media. That helps too. And as always, pray for the Church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.